Yo, what's up, everybody? You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate you taking time out of your day to rock and roll with us as we break down the latest Knicks trade rumors that circle around DeMar DeRozan, the big-time scorer and the veteran for the Chicago Bulls. But first, I got to make sure everybody here that is watching is subscribed to Knicks Now by Chat Sports. We continue to pump out content every single day for free. We were live on the channel last night for the win over the Pistons, and we're going to be live on the channel for the play-in game against the Bucks. If you're looking for free, informative, and entertaining content on YouTube every day about your Knicks, subscribe to the channel right now. Not the studio, want to get you guys a video. Sam Amick of The Athletic is reporting that DeMar DeRozan, if traded from the Chicago Bulls, wants to be a member of either the New York Knicks or a member of the Miami Heat. And look, I've been talking about this Chicago Bulls disaster a lot. Look, Patrick Seaman, producer of the show, he also hosts the Bulls Report at Chat Sports, and we talk all the time about the Bulls, and really, they're kind of stuck in no man's land. They're not good enough to compete, but they're not necessarily bad enough and don't have future draft capital and future cap space to really, I would say, resurrect the future of their franchise as soon as they would like to. So they're in a position where they may have to trade Zach LaVine. They may have to trade DeMar DeRozan. And they've also been getting calls on a player like Alex Caruso. Let's focus in on, though, DeMar DeRozan. And I just want to read you this quote from the article that Sam Amick wrote from The Athletic. Quote, DeRozan, perhaps more than any of the aforementioned players, is considered very likely to be on the move before the NBA trade deadline, and with good reason. Not only is the 34-year-old still very productive, averaging 21.3 points, 4.6 assists, and 3.2 rebounds in 18 games this season, and thus attractive to contenders who are looking for more firepower, but also his expiring $28.6 million contract this season should incentivize Bulls president to avoid losing him for nothing in free agency. When it comes to possible destinations for DeMar DeRozan, the Heat and the Knicks are known to be preferable for DeRozan if he winds up getting moved. Recently, the Lakers beat reporter of The Athletic said the Lakers are interested in DeRozan and Alex Caruso more than Zach LaVine, which makes perfect sense to anyone who remembers LeBron James, according to DeRozan 3 summers ago. So there you have it. Sam Amick is saying the New York Knicks and the Miami Heat are the two teams that DeMar DeRozan wants to be traded to if he is dealt. Before we dive into stats, trade ideas, and I give you my opinion on this trade, I want to hear from you down in the comments section. Should the Knicks trade for the 34-year-old DeMar DeRozan? He's an absolute bucket. In my opinion, he's one of the best mid-range scorers in recent memory in the National Basketball Association. He's the guy you can run your offense through from time to time, and he's also an underrated playmaker. So I'll ask you, should the Knicks trade for DeMar DeRozan? Type T for trade, type P for pass. I want to hear from you down in the comments section. There's a lot of layers to this, right? If you're going to trade for someone, what are you going to give up? What is the price going to be? So I've got the NBA trade machine pulled up right now. DeMar DeRozan makes $28.6 million. The Knicks would have to get close to that $26 million mark to make a trade where you got to match salary in the NBA. If a trade is going to happen, Evan Fournier is going to be a part of that deal. Him and his $18.8 million expiring deal. Still have to get about $8 more million on the books. Thing is, the Knicks don't really have a player that makes $8 million outside of Isaiah Hartenstein, who makes $9.2 million. And I am not going to trade Isaiah Hartenstein in a deal for DeMar DeRozan. I think what he brings to this team, look, DeMar DeRozan's a better player than Isaiah Hartenstein. That's not what I'm saying. I just think for this team and the way that they're built and the backup to Mitchell Robinson is so damn important. You talk about when Tibbs teams are at their best. They have a great center rotation. We saw with Omer Asik and Joakim Noah and the Knicks and Nerlens Noel and Mitchell Robinson and all those guys. And Mitch has been hurt in the past before. I'm not trading Isaiah Hartenstein. Like him too much. Emmanuel Quickly makes $4.1 million. Do I want to give up Quickly for a 34-year-old DeMar DeRozan? Not really. Quentin Grimes makes $2.3 million. It seems like if any trade is going to happen at this point, Quentin Grimes is probably going to be involved. Daquan Jeffries makes $2 million. Dylan Windler makes $2 million. Jericho Sims $1.9 and Miles McBride $1.8. So the financials of this deal could get a little bit sticky, unless you include a guy like RJ Barrett, which I don't think the Knicks would do. I don't think it's smart to trade a 23-year-old RJ Barrett for DeMar DeRozan. But I will say this, if there was just one season to play, one season to win the NBA championship, I would rather have DeMar DeRozan on my basketball team than RJ Barrett. Call me crazy, but that is just me. Who are you going to trade for him? Who are you going to trade for him? I'll ask you, if you had to pick a young guy to include in a trade for DeMar DeRozan, who would you want it to be? Is it Quentin Grimes, type QG? Is it RJ Barrett, type RJ? Is it Emmanuel Quickley, type IQ? Let me know which young guy you would want to trade. Look, I wouldn't really want to trade any of my young guys for DeMar DeRozan, but I do understand the impact he could have on this team. I'll tell you why I think DeRozan could actually be a good fit for the Knicks, and we'll go through some stats in a second. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Prize Picks. If you enjoy playing fantasy sports and you're looking to play daily fantasy sports and you want to win real money, get hooked up with Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, and if you use that promo code CLNS, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. So you put $100 in your account, give you $100 for free. My favorite part about Prize Picks is how easy it is to play. All you do is you create a lineup of 2 to 6 players, and then Prize Picks is going to set a stat line for an individual player, and you simply just choose more or less on what you think the outcome would be. Example, RJ Barrett, 19.5 points last night against the Pistons. You could have chose more or you could have chose less. It's not just NBA. They have college football, college basketball, as well as the NFL, and you could do multiple sports on one lineup. Get hooked up with Prize Picks. It's the #1 daily fantasy sports app in North America. I enjoy playing it, and it makes game days a whole lot more fun. You're going to love it too. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. The reason we kind of talked about why, it doesn't make sense for the Knicks. The financials, he's 35 years old, and I know some people are going to complain about the spacing. Because look, we know DeMar DeRozan is not an elite three-point shooter. This year, he is shooting, honestly, pretty decent from three. 36.4% from downtown. That's above league average. It's honestly on decent usage too. 2.4 threes per night. That's the most threes he shot in a game, in a season, since 2017, 2018, when he was last with the Toronto Raptors. But he's still a guy that can come in and get you 35 points any single night. And he's a guy down the stretch in the fourth quarter that can go and get you a bucket. And what did we see in that Miami Heat series? I know I always go back and talk about that, but that's what's fresh in my mind, and that's what I think the Knicks have to get over if they want to advance and become a contender in the Eastern Conference. DeMar DeRozan can go and get you a bucket. They need another playmaker than the New York Knicks. They need another guy that can create shots for himself and for others, and DeRozan is one of the most underrated playmakers in the league. Last year, he averaged 4.6 assists. Year before that, 5.2. Year before that, 4.2. Year before that, 5.5. Year before that, 6. So he can do it. He can get it done when it comes to being a playmaker. But why would the Knicks really make this deal? If you make this deal, you're having to give up the $18 million expiring contract of Evan Fournier. And if you give up on that, you don't really have any sizable contract that you could put in a deal for another superstar or star that becomes available. I think DeRozan makes you better. Gives you another guy down the stretch that can get a bucket. Gives you another veteran. We saw him hit the game winner against the Knicks last year. He can still do that. Gives you another score. But the money's weird. I'm not giving up a lot of picks, if any picks, maybe one protected first-round pick for a 35-year-old player. And on the court, the lack of a three-point shot does concern me a little bit. And if you bite on the DeRozan trade, you might lose out on some that's coming next. We don't know what's coming next. And that's the tricky part of that, right? You never know what's coming next in this trade market. You never know. And that's just kind of the problem the Knicks have run into as they have constructed their roster this way. I do think the Knicks need to make a trade. They need to consolidate this roster. Not enough minutes for Barrett, not enough minutes for Quickley, not enough minutes for Grimes, not enough minutes for DiVincenzo, not enough minutes for Hart. You need to condense those. I just don't know if a consolidation trade for DeMar DeRozan is the right move for the Knicks. Debo's a great player, no doubt about it. He might be a Hall of Famer one day. Does he make the Knicks finals contenders? I think he can help them get to the conference finals, and that may be intriguing enough. And he's an expiring deal. It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do. I'll ask you one more time. Should the Knicks make a trade for DeMar DeRozan? Type T for trade, type P for pass. Appreciate you rocking out with us. We'll be back later with another video on the latest Knicks news and rumors. Let's go Knicks.